I understand that a lot of you guys are looking forward to the Nintendo Switch too, but there's something that you people ain't looking at, man. All Nintendo's doing is extending the longevity of the PS4 generation, man. It's quite sad if you think about it. You're like, well, we're gonna get a more powerful Nintendo Switch. Now, unless Nintendo decides to do their own exclusive games to take advantage of the power, then yes. But what do you think third party are gonna do? They're gonna look at the Nintendo Switch, especially if they're continuing to make games for the PS4, and they're gonna drop them on there too. And then companies are gonna say, we're making a lot of money here. We don't really need to make next generation games. It's too expensive. We can actually put the game on PS4, Xbox One, low common denominators on PC. I'm not happy with this gaming community, man. And as much as you people want to sit there and say, yeah, I'm happy with all these games coming out, bro, let's just be honest, man. There's nothing that blows your mind anymore, bro. And you people know this.
Has officially leaked with full pictures of the console, specifications to its power, and it looks actually pretty awesome.
Not to me. Because the problem is you guys are looking at the fact that, oh, it's just a Switch 1, but with more power. That is the problem. Y'all like, huh? More than likely it's going to have PS4 or PS4 Pro specs, right? What is the problem that we've been complaining for quite some time, guys? That we can't get out of the PS4 and Xbox One generation. What do you think the Switch 2 is going to do in comparison? All it's going to do is extend the longevity. Now Sony, now I'm starting to see as to why they signed the Activision deal for Call of Duty. Man, I guarantee they're going to be trying to do that for an additional 10 years. You know what, man? I mean, at this point, bro, y'all gonna let the PS4 generation die, man. I get it. It was important to you guys. Y'all had some of your fondest memories there. But, man, all the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna do is make it worse. And I can even see Nintendo re-releasing and remastering the same games that they had on the Switch as well. I'm sorry, man. If you really think about it, you're like, you know what, Gabe? So that's a pretty good point. I can see people just porting nothing but a bunch of cross-generation games for the Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo don't care because they never had access to these games anyway, and there's more of a reason for you guys to want to play them on their device in comparison to what you're doing with the PS4 because it's a new device. But still, if you actually take the time to think about it, the Switch 2 will be underwhelming. Y'all like, no, man, you must be the only dude in this community. Yeah, I must be because I'm looking at things logically. I'm not saying that I'm not going to go out there and pick one up. All I'm telling you, keep your hopes down, people. Because for all you people saying, oh, I can't wait to buy the Switch, I can guarantee you a lot of you people are going to be disappointed because unless you're buying it for Nintendo games, which most Nintendo gamers do, but I can see Nintendo just re-releasing, oh, we got Tears of the Kingdom, except this time it's 60 FPS. I can see Nintendo doing the same thing, bro. So for all you people to make fun of Sony or for running the same old games at 60, I think we're also going to see it with Nintendo.
I'm extremely excited for the Nintendo Switch.
And don't think that Nintendo won't charge you for remasters and re-releases because they're pretty well known for doing that, if you guys haven't noticed with the Switch's library.
So let's take a look at how it looks. I hope you're having the factory is like, I guess, like the prototype of how it spits it out. And as you can see, it's a bigger Nintendo Switch. It's straight up just a Nintendo Switch. They're still keeping the Joy-Cons.
Now, I noticed they made, hold on.
They're keeping the bigger back thingy from the Nintendo.
That was crazy, right? He mentioned that the Joy-Cons do look bigger. Now, Nintendo probably did that on purpose because maybe they don't want you to take your old Joy-Cons to the next Nintendo Switch. There was no reason for them to make the Switch bigger. What reason for that? I mean, this is supposed to be backwards compatible with the Switch, and yet you made the Joy-Cons bigger. I can guarantee that there might be some compatibility issues with the previous Joy-Cons. We'll see. Because if you made them that much bigger, think about it. If the Joy-Cons in the new Switch are bigger, that means you won't be able to use the ones that you have for the current Switch. Maybe you'll be able to bring your games, but maybe not your accessories.
The Switch OLED model, where the kickstand is no longer just a little tiny thing. One thing that did jump out to me is not only does it still have a headphone jack, thank God, since so many things are trying to get rid of headphone jacks, but I did notice it has a built-in microphone, which is pretty good. Oh my God, we've had multiple Joy-Con lawsuits. Wow.
I'm not impressed because the Steam Deck has already done what the Switch 2 is more than capable of doing. What is there to be impressed about? For all you people running crazy with this, the Steam Deck is an early access to what you're more likely going to get with the Switch 2. I think a lot of you people are thinking that, oh, we're going to get Mario. Bro, you're probably going to get Mario Kart 8 again, Deluxe. You better be careful what you ask for, people, man. Stop falling for this hardware trap, man. Y'all like, dang, why you bashing the Nintendo Switch? I thought you enjoyed it. All I'm trying to tell you is to keep your expectations low. Because when the system comes out and you start seeing stuff like Tears of Kingdom, remastered, then you people are going to sit there and start crying and complain about the Nintendo Switch. And then you're going to have Nintendo fanboys sounding like the same Sony ones. Well, I mean, yeah, but we running Tears of Kingdom at 60. That's all they doing, man. I can guarantee you that's what Nintendo's trying to do with this Switch too. And more than likely, we'll see if they'll charge people for... Because I know Nintendo ain't going to be doing no free updates. Okay? They just as bad as Sony in that regard, man. They don't have the type of money like Microsoft to be just giving their consumer base free updates. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, be careful what you wish for.
That's insane. So, this is the size of the normal Nintendo Switch. You can tell by the little tiny original kickstand.
I don't think the Joy-Cons, if this is true, then that means that the Joy-Cons won't be compatible with the next Nintendo Switch.
This is the upgraded model, the Nintendo Switch 2. That is a big upgrade. Wow. So I guess big upgrade. Wow. So I guess if the console's bigger, then the Joy-Cons are going to be a lot bigger as well. Wow.
Which also would mean that the previous Joy-Cons will be incompatible with the new Switch. It's so funny that you people can't even use your mind to think like, hold on, game, so you do have a point. Because if these Joy-Cons are smaller than the new Nintendo Switch, then that means you won't be able to use them.
It's wild to see it, but that does seem to be the...
Now, that's if it's all true, like I said. I mean, these are leaks, man, but I just feel like I wanted to discuss this because I do think that a lot of people are looking at this situation and, going crazy for the Switch 2, thinking that it's going to be groundbreaking. It's not. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of re-release games, a lot of third-party going to flock to it because now they're going to sit there and say, oh, we could finally put games on Switch. Look at that install base. None of these third-party companies are going to want to push out next-generation games anymore, man. We still caught up playing with hardware from 2013 at this point. Really think about what's going on here, guys. And you're like, man, you know what, GameStar? You're right. Well, it's in a portable screen, though. I mean, but still, these games are probably going to perform as well as the games that you've had on PS4 already. Okay, and, well, that's beneficial to Nintendo owners. Yes. When it comes down to the exclusives, but when it comes down to third party, it's going to be the same exact games.
Actual Nintendo Switch. Now, there has been some debate as to whether they're actually going to call it Nintendo Switch 2. Some people think the name Nintendo Switch 2 is fake. I believe
honestly, the best thing for them to do is to call it the Nintendo Switch 2 because they don't want a Wii U situation and they don't want people thinking that it's an attachment or just a minor well, it is kind of an upgrade to what the Switch is. So I would hope that Nintendo would keep it and call it Switch 2. So people can sit there and say, oh, that's the better version of the Switch. But if they sit there and call it the Switch U, Nintendo might be in trouble again.
It's real simply because it does seem like Nintendo is a bit afraid of moving away from the brand of Nintendo Switch because it's...
So why would they change the name to something else if... You know what, bro? Okay.
Biggest thing they've ever done. Like, Nintendo
Which means that you would think that they would want to call it the Nintendo Switch too, right?
It's made billions and billions of dollars off Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon, but this is their biggest money maker ever. There's memes about how the Nintendo Switch is just a money printer, but...
Something that you wish Sony was able to do.
Along with these specifications, oh wow, look at that. We even know exact 8 for in handheld is kind of nuts.
See, it's funny. It's funny how I already knew this before he even brought it up. You see, I already knew this. Because that's all Nintendo can really do. Go from this regard. Let me see. I'm just looking at the dock between PS4 Pro and Xbox Series. No, it's definitely PS4 Pro. Modern hardware, then the former RAM. Okay, of course. But more capacity. The speed department, but more capacity. That I highly disagree. RAM available to games. No, okay. like I said, man, it's just gonna be PS4 specs, PS4 Pro specs. You guys are really disrespecting the Series S right now by saying that the Switch 2 is gonna outperform the Series S. Yo, y'all, you see, this is where you people gotta calm down, bro. See, this is where I have to call you guys cap, bro. There's no way possible that the Switch 2 will outperform the Series S when the Series S is able to perform and play Unreal Engine 5 games. I don't think the Switch is going to be able to do it like that, bro. Like, you feel me? You know what I mean? But hey, I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Whereas docked, it'll have roughly the power of a PlayStation 4 Pro or an Xbox Series S.
Y'all really believe that? Y'all really believe that a Nintendo Switch 2 will be on the same power of an Xbox Series S? Okay.
Oh my god. So it's going to be close to sort of relatively recent hardware, so 5-year out-of-date chip.
No, that's not 5-year out-of-date chip. That is 2013. What are you talking about, man? If it's anything remotely similar to the PS4, that is 2013 technology. That is awful. What do you people? Oh, with the Pro though, you know, the extra 2. That's still disappointing. Now, it's definitely going to get the job done for a lot of these, you know, modern games because this is what they're focusing on. But it's not going to be that powerful like you people are imagining. It's going to be able to get the job done. It's going to be able to run Tears of Kingdom and games like that at 60. And that's what's going to go on here. I don't think you people, like, y'all really think the Switch 2 is going to run games at 120 FPS? Because that's essentially what you're saying. Xbox Series S can do that with games like Sea of Thieves. You really think that Nintendo's going to put that type of hardware in the Switch 2? And if they did, how much do you think it's going to cost? Because you would have to use a lot of custom chips for that, which would make it even more expensive than the alleged $399 price tag that I do think that this might be priced at. I think Nintendo is going to do a $400 price tag with the next Switch 2.
Slower than a PS5, PSX when it comes to RAM.
Oh my god, bro, you hear this, dude? I would hope so.
Department, but more capacity than the Xbox Series S should have between
this is such a joke right here.
5 and 11 gigs of RAM. Oh my god. This is so interesting.
And this is why they're just called leaks, man. Because I could just look at it. And Nintendo don't do this type of hardware. I've told my boy before, man. He's like, yo, there's one thing I know about everything else. But you know you're Nintendo. I can guarantee you Nintendo's only going to probably drop something on the power of a PS4. You're like, why? Why not? Like, my friend was telling me, he's like, oh, come on. They can't do pro specs games still? And I told him, Nintendo's cheap. Nintendo is cheap, and they know that their community is dumb. All they gotta do is see Mario's mustache with a little bit more bristles, and these Nintendo fanboys gonna go crazy. Okay, they don't know about technology. You see what I'm saying? They'll do that 3 or 4 years down the road and call it the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro. They'll do that. But don't think they're going to have something even on the level of a PS4 Pro. I told my boy, he was like, why would they do that? I don't understand why I said, because Nintendo's cheap. They cheaper than cheap. It's like that song from San Andreas, except this one is called Cheaper. Nintendo is cheaper. They are cheap.
So other sources have chimed in on this about how this is definitely seemingly real. It does seem to actually be legit.
Because PS4 can run majority of these games. They don't even need an opt-out for a Pro. They don't even need an opt-out for those type of specs. I mean, I was contemplating thinking that would be the case, but that being a dream world of Nintendo. We already know Nintendo's going to throw out something similar to what the PS4 can do. Maybe a little bit more powerful. That's probably about it. Maybe a little bit in between the PS4 and Pro. But I'm telling you, it's not even going to be that more powerful than the Pro. I'm telling y'all. Y'all getting your hopes up for nothing, man. Nintendo probably charge you that like how the Sony's doing with their upgrades. They'll call it the Switch 2 Pro. They'll do something like that, but I don't think Nintendo's going to give you that in the front. Nope. That cheap, bro.
12 gigs of RAM confirmed. Awesome. Now, this, I think, is going to be an interesting thing. Because
now, the question is, how much do you think it's going to cost?
The Nintendo Switch was so overwhelmingly successful, it pretty much...
I mean, y'all were complaining that the Steam Deck was expensive and the specs this right now seems to be more powerful than the Steam Deck. And that was what priced at a price that a lot of you guys was like, oh, that's a little pricey there. So if this is what we're hearing from this alleged Nintendo Switch 2 leak, then how much do you think this is going to cost?
Its own lane. I mean, undeniably, anybody who says, people aren't going to want to put stuff on this because developers hate porting stuff to the Xbox Series S, why would they put up with it when it comes to Nintendo? I think the difference is, not only is the Nintendo Switch extremely popular...
No. So you see, now I'm about to call your cap. It's because one, the Nintendo Switch is going to have a huge install base. And like I said, all that is just propaganda, bro. I can guarantee you Microsoft's working with these companies saying, hey, Microsoft is protecting the gaming industry. They probably say, yo, let Sony game. I'm hearing that Marvel Capcom Fighting Collection is dropping on Game Pass at a later date. We'll see if it's true or not. On Game Pass next year. They probably said, we can't, don't take away the sales for the Nintendo Switch and PS4. Microsoft works with companies. They're like, we already got enough games right now. Let Sony have their fun with the game. So when you guys think, hey, we got a victory, Microsoft says, there's no victory. We need y'all. We need you to help us gatekeep the community so we can acquire more acquisitions. That's what's going on here. That's why y'all like, oh, why Microsoft ain't fighting for no Black Myth Wukong? Why? Because they don't need it. They'll get it at a later date. They don't care. They don't need all these games, man. That's what you people don't understand. They got enough games already. Because stuff like that would Microsoft, if Microsoft did it the opposite, then that would single-handedly hurt the whole gaming industry. That would hurt it, right? So at the end of the day, with this Switch 2, I say I'm calling it PS4 specs. You know what I mean? A lot of you guys are wishful thinking with the PS4 Pro, but I don't think Nintendo's going to go through that, man. I don't think so.
I do think the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to do the same thing.
And then also, too, you got to ask yourself, if the Switch 2 is a PS4 on paper, how many gigabytes is it going to have? You think they're going to be able to get away with 32, 64 gigabytes on the console itself? Now you have to take into consideration, you're like, Snap Games, you're right. How many gigabytes is it going to have in the console? Is it going to have 500? I mean, you need at least 500, man. I mean, Nintendo, you maybe 250? I don't know what they're going to do with that. You see what I'm saying? Because with how big the games are getting, Nintendo's going to have to give you some decent amount of storage, right? You know, and on top of that, do you think that a lot of these games are going to be on the cartridges? Cartridges are expensive if you're thinking about it. Backwards compatibility with your old Switch games. Okay, cartridge format, I'm not complaining. Cartridges might get more expensive. That's probably why they raised it up to 70, because they're trying to get you guys used to paying that amount, because cartridges are expensive, especially for the storage. This might be Nintendo's way of going digital. Y'all like, huh, what? We might even see a digital Nintendo Switch. We might. We might see a digital Nintendo Switch, because if you think about it, with how big gaming is becoming, think about it. Remember when Microsoft says, Nintendo signed that Activision deal with Call of Duty. Let's not remember. How are they going to be able to fit Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch if it only got 32, 64 gigabytes of space? Think about that for a moment. Think about what I'm saying for a moment without the fanboy stuff. Y'all like, oh, snap, you're right, Gamester. How they going to be able to put Call of Duty when that's like over 100 gigs? So that's what I'm telling you. I think it's a PS4 in specs, and it's probably, we'll see what in regards to the storage, but they got to compensate for that storage too. Because they can't just give you a powerful PS4 Pro level Switch and then throw out, 500 gigabytes. I know Nintendo, they ain't gonna do that. They're gonna have you guys buying memory cards or something, man. This might be the next PS Vita, and y'all don't even know it.
It is going to have such a big standalone audience in that the attach rate of the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's gonna be all fine and dandy, but y'all not looking at it from the price perspective. And this is the argument, this is the conversation that I'm trying to have. You guys are looking at, it's PS4 Pro specs. It's this, that. But you're not giving people a mindset to think like, okay, GameStop, I see what you're saying. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's why people like my channel, because I let them think about certain aspects, and they can chime in and be like, that is very interesting take, but let me add my 2 cents, or I completely agree with you, GameStop. That's what makes my channel special, at least for me. At least that I feel, because a lot of these content creators don't do that. They just chill. Oh, the Switch 2. Oh, yeah, the game. Oh, yeah, the Joy-Cons are bigger. but don't even take in consideration that if the screen and the Joy-Cons are bigger, that means you won't be able to use your old Joy-Cons. You feel me? Be able to articulate and talk about gaming the way you're supposed to. So people can look at it and be like, okay, I know this is a leak. I know we don't know if this is true or not, but give people a reason to think. Stop with this, oh, I love it. I can't wait for it. It's going to have powers for PS4 Pro and all that. Because then when it happens, people buy it, and then they get disappointed. Let people know what they going to get when they get it.
Switch people, they show up. They buy games, sometimes multiple games, like multiple copies of the same game, getting a physical and
y'all like, whoa. whoa. Now you're talking bad about Nintendo? Nintendo gamers buy selective games. They don't buy all their exclusives, okay? They're no different. They're just better than you ponies in that regard, but don't get it twisted. There's a few Nintendo exclusives that a lot of these Nintendo Switch owners don't buy, okay? Let's not front here. You know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic here. You see, I'm a realistic dude. Y'all like, whoa, I thought you said Nintendo. Yeah, they buy more than Sony, but don't sit there and say that they buy all their games, because they don't. They buy selective, specific type of games.
Digital copy of a bunch of their games. I think
just like how Microsoft gamers buy Halo, Gears, and Forza, Ninja Thought I Told You, PlayStation gamers, they buy Gran Turismo and Uncharted, Last of Us and Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima and Demon's Souls Remake. You know, they buy their selective titles. Nintendo gamers, they do the same thing. Smash Bros. Animal Crossing, Smash Super Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. You know, like...
developers are probably going to support the heck out of this. As of a couple...
Yeah, they're going to support it because they're going to see it as an opportunity to make a lot of money. Now, my question is the price. How many gigabytes is it going to have? The big Joy-Con concerns, that's another thing, too. I really don't know. 500 gigabyte storage. Nintendo's obviously got to give you more than 32 or 64. And then if they sign that Activision deal with Microsoft, then Call of Duty's got to be able to work on here. And they're going to have a system that can... think about it. Y'all going to be good. Nintendo Switch owners, this is going to be your route to digital. So enjoy your physical media now. Because when this Switch 2 come out, y'all going digital like everybody else. Y'all like, what? Because games are going to get too big. Nintendo's not going to want to put their games on cartridges. The biggest Nintendo Switch cartridges is 32 gigabytes. You think Nintendo's going to put a 100 gigabyte game on a cartridge? Do you understand how expensive that will be? And I think this is why Nintendo's taking a while to drop this console, because they're afraid that, we're going to be losing access to our physical media. There's going to be a huge fundamental change with how we go about video gaming. You know what I mean? That's why they branded Virtual Console through the little streaming Nintendo apps that they got. I'm telling you, man, you guys are going to get underwhelmed. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all not looking at it from my perspective. You're not looking at the fact like, yeah, Gamester, this is supposed to be on the level of a PS4 Pro according to Dreamcast guy, but how are they going to be able to put 50, 80 gigabytes of storage on a cartridge? That's going to get quite expensive unless you think Nintendo's going to do 80, 90, 100. Are we going back to the N64 days? Is this what we might get with the Switch 2? Now, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Now, if Nintendo does that, then they could have the opportunity of pushing, well, like I said, if this was Microsoft and they was doing something like that, then they would do a Nintendo Switch Pass. Then they would have like $100, $120 Switch cartridges games, and then, you know, have an appealing option where you can play Nintendo Switch games. But I don't think Nintendo would do that. You know, Xbox would. But that's what I'm saying. How much are these cartridges going to cost? How much? Y'all not talking about that. Y'all just talking about this might be the next PS Vita.
A couple days ago, there was all these developers that were taking strange selfies at the Nintendo.
And I do think that this is why Nintendo's taking a while to come out with this platform, because they're trying to get it all out. They're like, yes, we know we got to go higher than the Switch. We know that. We got to do PS4 or PS4 Pro. We'll just do Pro to make y'all happy. We got to do that. We got to do that. You feel me? So this is what I'm talking about, man. Nintendo is really thinking to themselves right now, like, how we're going to be able to pull this off. We want to keep physical media, but then we know we can't put all these games on all cartridges. We can't. I mean, that's a complaint that they had with the original Switch. Now the games are going to be bigger and badder. You know, most PS4 games are over 80 to 100 gigs, right? You really think Nintendo's going to be putting out $100 and $150 cartridges of storage? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to play some of these Switch games. But man,